Okay, so this is the Humanity Hypothesis, a game we're working on. We've previously released some teaser trailers, little glimpses into the world and questions that might be asked. We've been kind of intentionally mysterious, we'll say, because we wanted to kind of build up some interest. We're far enough in development now. We want to show, give people an idea about the type of gameplay this will be. So why don't we go ahead and start a new game. So the Humanity Hypothesis is a game currently on Steam Greenlight. We're targeting PC and Mac. The link will be in the description. This is a Machine 22 game. The two primary developers have been myself, Brian Psychochild Green, and Dave Toulouse. I've done most of the narrative design, which is the story, the overall flow, the game world. Dave's done most of the programming. He's a brilliant programmer and game developer. Released other games with this Machine 22 company. And we have other people to help us, music. But it's primarily Dave and I working on this. We have this very nice cinematic intro you saw. And now we're going to kind of be dumped into this lab. We see kind of a robot over there. The focus of the game is is supposed to be kind of a very heavy narrative focus, a little different than the other type of games we've done before. And the goal is we want to kind of give people a different story experience, something you're not going to find in other type of games. So we can go up here, and the robot will turn to us.
Let us check to see if your memory is fully intact now. I will ask you questions and we will find out what type of person you are. Are you ready? The information I have informs me that you were involved with violence. Tell me your role in this violence.
So the goal here is we want players to define a character. We don't just want to write a single story with a single character and make it linear. We have a bunch of different characters that the players can choose. So since one of the main topics is violence, as the voice mentioned, I'm going to say I'm going to inflict violence on others. Choose option 1 here.
A perpetrator of violence. This promises to be an enlightening conversation. Tell me, why do you inflict violence on others?
So again, I'm going to be continuing it. Let's make it interesting. Number 1, I'm going to be a murderer.
A murderer. The data states that you were caught by the police at the scene of the crime. You confessed to the murder, feeling you had nothing to hide. Your lawyer tried to get you judged not guilty for reasons of insanity, but they convicted you anyway. Now you will help me understand the mind of a murderer.
So I'm going to accept that. So there's basically about 9 different character types you can look at. If you don't want to pick a specific character type, you can kind of be a very generic character. But I think that the choosing a specific type of character kind of helps get people in the mindset. So I'm going to be a murderer. I'm going to be this person that my relationship with violence is I willingly inflicted violence on other people. And if you don't, you can go through the options. If you don't like something, you can kind of go back to the beginning. But so let's take a quick look at one of the first questions we're going to be asked.
The issue of violence fascinates me about humans. Humans are quick to engage in destructive behavior against others for various reasons. Some attack the unknown, some attack those that disagree with them, some attack others for the sheer, twisted pleasure. Now, let us say that I have created a device that will stop all war and violence. I will give you this device, and you can choose to engage it at any time. I will not tell you how it works, but I guarantee that all violence between humans will cease. Would you use this device?
So, kind of a little bit of the story is that the voice here is essentially a military AI. The world's embroiled in a war. The AI is kind of tired of it. So it enlists a human to try to figure out humanity and violence. And so in this case, since I defined a murderer type, it basically loaded in a player, a character, a person who's a murderer, has a violent past. And so kind of the answers here are going to go along with that. Like the first one is, why would I stop violence? That's part of what we are as humans. Something a murderer, somebody in the murderer mindset might say. But I'm going to go with number 2 there, because I think, I'm going to be, the kind of the sociopath type. I want to say that, no, violence helps us become greater. So I'm going to choose option number 2.
Interesting. So you think that without violence, humanity could not develop and evolve? This seems to be a very pessimistic point of view, but perhaps one I should have anticipated from one with your background. This seems wasteful to me. You waste resources when you kill each other, and your violence is rarely constrained. It will affect other creatures and even your whole planet as well. But, can humans not grow in different ways? Cannot the educated exchange of ideas also help them to grow? Or, perhaps guidance from a strong leader? It seems to me that there are many ways for humans to grow without having to destroy.
So again, you kind of see the AI trying to probe a little further, kind of trying to understand. And here we have more answers. They're kind of related to that question. And I could pick whatever, but I'll end this here for now. But let's kind of take a step backwards. So let's take another look. Let's create another type of character.
Let us check to see if your memory is fully intact now. I will ask you questions and we will find out what type of person you are. Are you ready? The information I have informs me that you were involved with violence. Tell me your role in this violence.
So we don't obviously want it to be all kind of terrible people. One of the options here I'm going to investigate is, we can have people that are witnesses to violence, people that have experienced violence kind of third hand. So let's choose that.
A witness to the violence one inflicts upon another. Your perspective will help as we investigate the hypothesis. Why did you witness the violence?
So again, we can kind of look at 2 different character types here. And I think the most interesting one is going to be the number 2, the refugee.
A refugee displaced by war. Your old life disrupted by the violence of others, by the war that raged all around you. With no choice but to flee, you went elsewhere to try to find a better life. Some people welcomed you and tried to ease your fears, but others had their own fear and worries about you and others like you. You tried to make a life in a new place that both welcomed you and hated you. Now you will help me understand what it means to be displaced because of violence.
So, we were looking at trying to give a kind of a different perspective that you might not normally find in a game like this. Again, I could pick number 2 if I didn't want to be a refugee, but I'm going to go with number 1 because that sounds pretty interesting. So now I'm going to replay through that first question we already saw, and you're going to see that things are a little different this time around.
The issue of violence fascinates me about humans. Humans are quick to engage in destructive behavior against others for various reasons. Some attack the unknown, some attack those that disagree with them, some attack others for the sheer, twisted pleasure. Now, let us say that I have created a device that will stop all war and violence. I will give you this device, and you can choose to engage it at any time. I will not tell you how it works, but I guarantee that all violence between humans will cease. Would you use this device?
Now you can see here, because I'm playing a very different character from the murderer in the first one, I'm going to have different answers. I mean, we have one answer that's similar, or basically the same, but obviously a murderer and a refugee aren't going to have the same point of view, so we're going to have different responses to this. So I'm going to be, if I'm a refugee, I've probably seen horrible things. I'm going to want to end violence. If there were no violence, then I would, I wouldn't have been displaced from my home. So I'm going to pick number 3. This device to end violence sounds great to me.
I think you have not considered every consequence. This is a failing of you humans. You do not seem able to plan ahead. You look for an easy answer and then complain about the consequences later. Let us say that this device released a plague tailored to the human genome. The plague wipes out humans while leaving other life on your planet intact. This would certainly end human destruction and preserve the planet, would it not?
So again, now that I have given a different response, it's going to give me a different response. The conversation is going to continue in a different way. And so the important thing here to realize is that this is not about guessing the right answer. This is not about getting the best result. This is about essentially having a conversation with the artificial intelligence here. And so in this case, I have 4 different answers, and maybe I'll admit I was wrong, but I like number 4. You tricked me. That would inflict massive violence in order to end violence. So you're perpetrating violence in order to end violence. But we'll stop the questions here. And we'll turn around here and we'll see that the lab's now brightly lit. You can kind of see here that we have a little bit of a hint about this isn't going to be a necessarily very happy-go-lucky story. But one of the things that we really want to do here is we want to kind of give people a story. You play through, you choose things, and it's going to make the game more interesting. We're going to give you a story. We're looking at kind of 9 different characters you can play at the beginning, and it's going to shape the questions that are going to be asked. Obviously not all 9 characters aren't going to have unique questions. Each one they're going to be sharing some. Somebody who's who investigates murder, and somebody who's a refugee. Both people have seen violence, might have very similar points of view. And we're going to have 3 different phases. During the game, the goal here is basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to convince the AI of a certain point of view. Whether humanity's rotten and needs to be destroyed, humanity's beautiful, needs to be saved, humanity is flawed and needs to be loved, flaws and alls. Whatever, the goal is, once you get that character, because you get into that character's mindset, then you can answer questions in such a way to influence the AI. And then at the end, we're going to have about 5 different endings. The AI is going to render judgment. He's going to decide what he's going to do about humanity. So the goal is, and there's going to be a little bit of randomness in the questions too. So the goal is that every time you play the game, you're going to get a very different experience. You're going to, you're going to be telling a unique story. You're going to, potentially have a unique character. 9 different characters you can play through. You're going to be able to accomplish different endings depending on the answers you give. And so we want to have a lot of replayability. Again, this isn't about picking the right answer and getting the good ending versus the bad ending. It's about participating in a story and seeing where it goes. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed kind of this little glimpse at the humanity hypothesis. I hope that you really kind of got a little better idea of what we're trying to do here. Again, this is on Steam Greenlight. If you like what you see, we would absolutely appreciate you going to Steam Greenlight and voting for us. We're also on Twitter and Google+. We'll have links to the social media accounts below. I hope that you can, if you have any questions, again, go to the social media sites, engage with us. We're really kind of eager to hear what you have to say. Thank you very much.